Donald Trump is the president-elect of the United States of America. If you saw this coming, congrats, your candidate won. If you didn't see this coming, where do we go from here? I'm on the fence because I'm not a big Hillary fan. I thought she was a poor candidate. I thought both candidates were poor, but she didn't tap a nerve the way Donald Trump did. Donald Trump, his whole campaign, he talked to those who didn't have a voice. He talked to middle America. And for years, I've been telling folks working in the entertainment industry, we are told to cater our programming towards middle America because they have the most time on their hands. They're not living their life like the coastals, like the Californians and New York. And if anything, this election has shown us that, California, New York, we live in bubbles. We live in bubbles, and the rest of the country is tired of the same old in terms of politicians working with their own agenda, working for Wall Street, working for working all the financial loopholes, doing whatever they got to do to get ahead. And it all accumulated to Donald Trump running for president. Just think about this. We elected a guy with no political history, not even running for a high school principal job. This guy has done nothing in terms of political field, and he's our president. Why is he our president? It's simple. It's not yes, the country is racist. Yes, there's white supremacy that nobody wants to talk about, but it's true. Yes, a lot of Americans are sexist, but those are not the reasons why Trump is president. It's actually far from that. The reason Trump is our next president is because he simply ran a better campaign. He overpromised and overdelivered, and now we, as the American people, got to hold his feet to the fire and see if he overpromised and overdeliver in terms of everything he said in his campaign. I always said Hillary comes off as being fake, come off as being a robot, come off as being unlikable. And with her ties to Wall Street and big businesses that have all left this country, if anything, Trump is right about that. A lot of jobs have left this country. They've gone to China. They've gone to all over the world. And I'm assuming a lot of Americans were like, you know what? Let's get a businessman in office, someone who would understand, like, hey, I can't work a $40,000 job, support 3 kids by myself, and pay the mortgage or pay the rent. Something's not right. Traditional America is not helping us. What am I to do? Trump struck a nerve with these guys. He tapped into their pain. He turned their pain into his gain. And that's what this country is always built about. It was always built upon turning pain into gain. And that's what Trump did. So I applaud him for that. He exploited the middle America who keeps seeing their numbers dwindling and dwindling and dwindling down. Just think about this. Trump, as old as he is, he campaigned and he hustled. He was in every nick and cranny town, promoting, campaigning, doing what he had to do. To some degree, Hillary took him for a joke, and she didn't push that hard. And I think also falls the reason why Trump is president is mainstream media failed the American people. They painted Trump as a bad guy, as a doofus, and it somehow, again, struck a chord to those rural states, those rural towns, middle of America, the Rust Belt states. They see all this slander, like, come on now, Hillary, what are you bringing to the table other than slander? These commercials that I saw the last couple of weeks have been repugned on both ends, but not so more on Hillary Clinton. Her campaign did a piss poor job. The Democratic Party did a piss poor job putting her as the candidate to be the next president. Let alone this, I'm going to give you guys a little facts. It hasn't happened since Ronald Reagan George Bush won, where you had 3 consecutive terms of one party. That is hard to do. Usually, after 8 years, the American people want to change. And for some reason, the Democratic Party thought putting Hillary out there to be that change was gonna work in their favor, and it didn't. She's the same old 30 years. Yes, she's by far, don't get me wrong, by far she is the more qualified candidate, but she comes off again as being very unlikable and very dishonest. Do I think Russia had something to do with all those emails? Absolutely. Do I think a lot of these other countries don't respect women and they didn't want to see a woman running America. And with all of that being said, that's what happened. Also, that's why I think the emails played a part in this whole election. But unlike George W. Bush too, Trump did not steal this. He did not steal this election. He won it fair and square. The people voted. America's as divided as ever been before, and it's time to heal. It's time to get everybody on board. We gotta come together, or this country falls. If this country falls, then the world's in trouble. I think we have to give Trump a chance. He's our president. We elected him. Some may haven't. Some may have. End of the story. You cannot protest democracy. I'm seeing all these protests in the streets, and it's just breaking my heart. Like, dude, what are you guys doing? You cannot protest democracy. If you really had a problem with the election, you should have voiced your opinion sooner. Now, not later, because later it's over. We're stuck with Trump for 4 years minimum. If you really had a problem with the candidate, both candidates, you should have came out with a better game plan. You should have took the election more seriously instead of taking it as a reality show, shit show. So, America, we have to reap what we sow. We have to deal with this head on. We have to come around all of our anger, all of our hate. I'm tired of seeing all the slander from both sides of fans, from the Hillary supporters, from the Trump supporters. Enough is enough. We need to come together. We need to galvanize ourselves. We have to show a united front, or else this country will fall. Being a minority myself, I have no choice but to give Trump a chance because I would hate to be prejudged without getting my own fair shake chance. You know what I mean? So hey, I said we all roll with it. We accept it. We accept the outcome of the election, and we move on. In the words of the great philosopher Flavor Flav, no monkey stops my show. Hey, listen, Trump's the president. If you were expecting a politician to be your savior, like Jesus Christ, you have a long thing coming. Neither Jesus Christ or the politician is your true savior. You're your own savior. You got to get out here and get a grind. America is for sale right now, everybody. Let me repeat that. America is for sale. You better get out here and get yours. Do what you got to do. Tighten up your wallets. Spend accordingly. Invest wisely. Because I personally think, like I said, I have no shade, no disrespect to Donald Trump. I think he could be a good president. My personal opinion, he's going to use that presidency seat to pay off all his debts. He is going to pay off all his debts he owes these other countries as the president. He has an agenda. He hasn't really stated what his agenda is. That's just what I think. That's what I would do if I was your president, ladies and gentlemen. I would pay off all my debts. America is for sale, and the highest bidder will buy this free land. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Do we continue to debate? Do we need to get rid of the electrical policies? Do we need to look into why is election day not a national holiday? That's a problem I have. Like, you complain about voter turnout, but yet you don't make it a national holiday where people have no excuse than not to go vote. The average American, he could barely ask his boss for a 15-minute bathroom break, let alone go vote somewhere and then have to make it into work because, hey, time is money. The average worker who's getting paid hourly is not trying to lose an hour just because they have to go vote. So we need to figure out a better way of a better voting system. Especially when you have half Americans did not go vote. Just think about this. Trump won the presidency of the United States with less votes than Mitt Romney got when he ran against Obama. Just think about that. Just think about that for a second. That lets you know the voter turnout was low. Then again, Hillary, she had way less votes than Barack Obama, as we clearly see. Again, because she's unlikable and not very trustworthy. It's just American public is disengaged. Why is it disengaged? Because again, awful media. I really feel like the media let everybody down this election. Trump supporters and Hillary supporters. It was just too left or too right. It was nothing in between. Nothing to really say, hey, here's some substance to these candidates. And then you have social media to play a part. The average millennial and the average American under 40 gets their information from social media. And you know, Facebook and Twitter, yes, there's a lot of content on these sites, but a lot of it is misinformed and miseducated sources. And there's no, what I'm learning, especially in 2016, if the lie is more entertaining than the truth, people will roll with that lie. So a lot of the stuff, a lot of the memes I'm seeing, a lot of things that were allegedly said by Trump in these memes were so untrue. Nobody's fact checking anything. And again, why should you? If the entertaining in the lie is more interesting than the truth, we're just going to roll with it. Perception is reality, and that's what just happened in this last campaign. Trump perceived to the American public, like, hey, listen, I have not forgotten about you. I'm here for you guys. I will be the voice for your voiceless. Trump struck a nerve with middle America that was just not ready in all blunt terms. After having a nigger for 8 years in the White House, the last thing they wanted to do was follow the 8 years of a nigger, 4 years with a cunt. That's what happened to a lot of middle America. And then the women. Hillary's out here campaigning for the women's rights, women equal pay. But 46% of women voted for Donald Trump. That's remarkable. I always knew women are catty, but I didn't know they were that catty. So Hillary lost the white vote, the women's vote, and that's why she's not president. Did she campaign? Did she look a little fraudulent campaigning late with Jay-Z, LeBron James, Beyonce, and all these other celebrities? Yes, absolutely. Not only did she look fraudulent, but look desperate. So somewhere in that camp, in her party, it was a disconnect, and they tried to get her on board too late. Just think about this: LeBron James is the king of Ohio, and he couldn't even get Hillary over in Ohio. That says a lot more about Hillary than it says about Donald Trump. Again, I'm here just to share my opinions. I have strong convictions that Trump will be fine as a president. You know, most billionaires do not hire stupid people. All right, so the sky is not falling. It's not all bleak, but most billionaires do not hire stupid people. I think Trump will hire a great staff to work with at the White House. But I don't know if you guys saw Saturday Night Live. I was happy to see my boy Dave Chappelle back. And I thought his skit about election night was so dead on. That's just how I feel. I think this is how a lot of minorities feel. If you didn't see the skit, check it out. It was pretty much the whole panic of, you know, coastal white Americans like, oh my God, how can this guy win? This is a travesty. As an African American, we've seen worse. You know, me, myself, I'm 39 years old. I survived Reaganomics. I survived the crack epidemic. I survived New York being bankrupt. And then I had 2 Bushes. I had Clinton putting everybody in jail. It's not the end of the world. We'll be fine. America is a business. And why not give it a chance to a business mind like Donald Trump? So again, I just wanted to drop this quick post-election Black Buddha podcast, let everybody know all is not lost. And if you really have a problem with the system, with Republicans having all 3 branches of power, get your ass out and vote. Get more in tune with local politics, because everything starts from the local front. Again, you cannot wait for the federal government to come in and step in and be your savior. You got to start everything from the local. See, I put my money where my mouth is. And I just recently joined my local community board, Shout Out Community Board in Brooklyn 14. The things I learned at my first meeting was amazing. Down to like